How are we? How are we? Where's the button? There we go. Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome back to another deadline stream. It is game week 12. The international break is over. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you all for joining. Game week 12. Finally, the international break is over. Hope you're all doing well. FPL Down Under. We're not talking no cricket talk, unfortunately, this morning. The Ashes is banned unless there is a miraculous turnaround in the next 20 minutes or so. I'm doing very well, thank you, Jordan. Let's get in and say hello to some of you. Hello to Jordan, Ewan, Fiona, Jonathan, Matt, Braden, Dan, Zuni. Who else have we got? FPL Verts, Aslam. Hello to Avintech, Ruben. Hello to all the members and moderators in. Thank you especially for your support. I hope you've had a great week and are excited to have a bit of FPL back. John as well, and to everyone else. Dream Brother, Ray, AK4, Ali, Shang, Calvin, Farah, Salah, MWL, Livu. I'm not reading the Arsenal names. You're doing too well at the moment. As a Chelsea fan, it's painful. It's painful. Arsenal look great at the moment. Tevin, ATY, Viper, Denzel, Renko, Watch, Alex, Ald Cooper, Elistru, Johnny, Sue, Matthew, Rob, and one more, Epic, and Jason. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you all for joining. Good morning to you all. So as you might be able to see, I did a couple of transfers last night. I sold Gabriel and I did buy Van Dijk. Now, I was really close to going Timber in the end, just because I think the Arsenal defence is just better than the Liverpool defence, practically whoever they play. And I was really close to going Timber. But then I saw there was a tweet that I think Andy put out where Timber wasn't in any of the Arsenal training photos. So I decided just to go with Van Dijk. I expect Timber to be absolutely fine. It's one of those things where Arsenal leave a player out, or there were quite a lot of players not included them as well. So it's probably nothing, but it was enough to convince me that basically, it was basically enough to convince me to go and buy Van Dijk. And then I also did Ndai to Saka for free. Now, I'm actually realising this morning that I didn't need to do it last night, because I don't think either of them changed in price. But I just knew while I was doing one, I decided to do the other. Van Dijk rose and Gabriel fell, but Saka didn't rise and Ndai didn't fall. So, so technically I didn't need to do it last night, but it was always the transfer. Once we got the sort of all clear on Enzo, was going to be the transfer that I was going to do. I've got Anderson first sub if Semenyo misses out. So I'm perfectly happy with that. That's not the end of the world. Benching Anderson feels a little bit weird. So yeah, that's where we're at. I am playing Richards over Anderson. Like I've said a couple of times, I think that Sunderland are a better side than Wolves, and Crystal Palace is a better side than Fulham. So I'm more expecting a Palace win than I am definitely a Fulham win. So that's what we've gone with. Yeah, Richards, Anderson is close. Like on my the full benching ranking, the shortened one is in the top right hand corner, but in this one they are really close to each other, actually next to each other. Number 20 and number 21. But yeah, I do think I'd go with a Palace defender over going with Anderson. Fulham are not being that great, but at home they tend to put up a bit of a performance. Yeah, Sunderland will win. Like, I think it's more likely that Sunderland win than Wolves win. And I think that's basically what led me to bench Anderson. That, I don't know, if we looked at Rob T's projections for the game week. Let me get these up. Hang on one sec. Yeah, if we get these up. I mean, it's not always a perfect predictor for FPL, but Fulham have a 45% chance and Palace have a 53% chance. So yeah, Sunderland more likely to win or get a result than Wolves are. Would make that the right way round. Right way around to do it. On Wildcard, who would I go with? Minte versus Thiago and Semenyo versus Gakpo. I'd go Thiago over Minte. The difficulty with a couple of these questions is what you're going to do with a free hit, because if you are free hitting in 13, it does make Thiago a little bit worse. Like, his next 3 games, if you're on free hit next week, is Brighton away, Arsenal away, Spurs away, which is not great, but he's still great long term. So to be honest, if I was on Wildcard, I probably would just go with Thiago regardless of what your free hit plan is, because if you're not going Thiago, you're definitely booking in transfers. So if you're going with Minte over Thiago, you're then effectively booking in 2 transfers unless you've got another forward, a third forward that you can just sell to him. And I don't think I'd want to be booking in 2 transfers for the sake of basically one fixture being the Arsenal away one, which isn't great. Thank you for the super chat, Gisnason. This is, call you Gis. I should have read your message first. This is your team: Van Dijk, Senesi, Richards, and Keane and Anderson, Bruno and Burmo, Semenyo, Enzo, Sarr, Haaland, Mateta, Krupi. Who would I start? I'd bench Krupi, I'd bench Keane, and I'd probably bench Anderson. Virgil, Senesi, Richards would be the same defense as I have. Waltamada to Ekatike. So let's talk a little bit about Liverpool. And I know there are some Liverpool fans in the chat, so really interested to know your opinions and your thoughts on a couple of things when we go to talk about Liverpool. So the first thing is up front, question on Ekatike. I wouldn't buy Ekatike or Isak. I don't think that either of them are going to get enough reliable minutes. I'm turning it the wrong way. Ooh. There we go. I don't think either Ekatike or Isak will get enough reliable minutes, particularly when there's midweek, weekend. So I wouldn't go buying any of them. Potentially once Salah goes to the African Cup of Nations, if Ekatike and Isak are played together, particularly if the likes of Frimpong is unavailable, then potentially you could look to do it. But for now, that's a no. With Wirtz injury, it looks like Gakpo is going to start and probably start until Wirtz comes back. Now, there have been a couple of things that they've apparently trialled Ekatike off the left wing. And I don't think Wirtz is out for particularly long. But for example, Gakpo feels like a really good free hit pick, or for a couple of weeks if you are going to wildcard or you're happy to sell him in a couple of weeks. But Gakpo is my favourite, definitely, of the short-term options. Long-term, he still comes with a risk, right? Could Ekatike play out on the left wing? Could Wirtz come back sooner than maybe expected? Could all of this happen? Absolutely. But Gakpo is now probably my favourite short-term Liverpool option. And then, oh, they tried Isak off the left with Ekatike central. Okay, but effectively playing them both together at the expense of Gakpo. And then the other thing is the Conor Bradley injury and who goes to right back. I think a lot of people want him to try Gomez, but he's literally said that Gomez has played 290 minutes in the past year, so he can't play that every single week. So he is going to find another solution to right back whilst both Bradley and Frimpong are available, which is probably Szoboszlai, because he also made a comment that players might have to play in positions that they don't want to or not their preferred position. And that feels like he's talking about Szoboszlai a little bit. So it does put Szoboszlai in a little bit more doubt as a pick. He's still probably the best for minutes long term. Vert's saying, FPL Vert saying you don't expect Szoboszlai at right back while he's on 4 yellows. That's potentially possible. But yeah, there's just a little bit more doubt in there in my mind that to be honest, I'm quite happy to wait and see. What chips have I played? So I've already played Bench Boost and I've played my Wildcard. The plan is to free hit 13 and triple captain 17 is probably the plan. I know people will look at a potential triple captain 13. You can also triple captain in 15. Haaland has home games against Leeds, Sunderland and West Ham in those 3 weeks. So he's probably the best triple captain. Those are probably the best options left for triple captain. If you wanted to go against him, you can have a look at like Bruno or Mbeumo. Have got a good couple of games. You've also got Saka with a good couple of games coming up. If you've gone with Salah, you could punt on that. But I think the majority of us are going to triple captain Haaland. It's kind of just which week we decide to do it. Would I include any Chelsea players on wildcard? Probably not. Not because I don't think Chelsea are fine and I don't think we're not going to win games and pick up points over the next few. But I don't think Enzo probably gets into the midfield because if you're going with a Thiago and an expensive defence, you don't quite have the money for Enzo. And defensively, I don't think any of them get in and I would not go with João Pedro. I just think that the Chelsea players are good picks. And if you've got them, I wouldn't worry about them, particularly this week. But I'm not sure they fit like the best 5 defenders or the best 5 midfielders or the best front 3. I'm not sure there's a Chelsea player in those at the moment. So on wildcard, I did an updated wildcard yesterday in the complete guide video. So if you want to go and check that out, then that is basically what I'd go with. And it doesn't have a Chelsea player in it. People asking about injury updates. Yeah, so Gabriel is, again, I did a pretty comprehensive one, just trying to remember everyone in it. Gabriel is out. Calafiori is a doubt. Semenyo is a doubt. Enzo is available. Pope is available. Gordon is a doubt. Bradley is out. Allison looks like he'll be back. Sesko is out. So those looking at Cunha. I don't mind Cunha as a short term. Well, actually, I was going to say short term and actually quite a long term pick because you're going to get Cunha while Sesko's out probably for the next 4. And then Mbeumo's going to go away to AFCON just as Sesko's returning. So then you're going to get Mbeumo in Sesko, you're going to get Cunha in Mbeumo's position. So there are lots of reasons why I think I put him in my differentials. I didn't, but I probably should. Yeah, let's bump them down. Let's put Cunha in my differentials because I think he's a really nice differential pick. I think he's only scored 1 goal this season, which is probably the thing that puts me off slightly. Jones could play right back going back to Liverpool. Yes, possible. It sounds like he's going to try and find a more long-term solution, which might not be Szoboszlai, but he might still need him short-term to help with that. Should I bench boost this week? Your bench is Dubravka, Anderson, Rodon, and Minte. Definitely. You've got 4 players all at home on your bench. Yes. Running out of good weeks to play it. If it fits a team particularly well in any specific week, then play it. If not, game week 16 and 17 looks okay for some of the newly promoted teams, I think. So looking at fixtures for the players who would actually be your bench player. Like 16, Burnley host Fulham. You've got Sunderland at home to Newcastle is not the best, and Leeds go away to Brentford like it's all right. In game week 17, Leeds host Palace. You've got Burnley away at Bournemouth, and you've got Sunderland away at Brighton. So 16 and 17, if you haven't played your bench boost and you don't know when to play it, is probably your last options to have a look at it, particularly with some of the fixtures for those newly promoted players and teams. Would I play Minte or Cunha? I probably would play Minte, I think. Probably. That's close, though. That is close. Would I have both? Would I have made both transfers for a hit? Probably not. To be honest, if I was going to take a hit, If I had only one transfer, I probably wouldn't have bought Van Dijk. I would have just played Anderson, I think, and just accepted the point. It's already the thing is with the Anderson swap, the Van Dijk swap is because I'm going to free hit in 13. I've said this a couple of times in my videos. There's so much value loss on them because I'm free hitting in 13, I can't make a transfer next week. Like I can't sell Gabriel. So I've already lost 0.2 on that transfer. If I hadn't have done it. If Gabriel falls again, I suppose if he falls once, I probably would lose at least 0.1 more next week, if not more. So yeah, particularly because of the free hit, but yeah, that's basically, I don't think I'd have done it for a hit. No. I would have just bought Saka. If I didn't have Anderson and I had a worse first sub, then yes, I probably would have done. Start Szoboszlai or Enzo. Probably Enzo. I think he's a slightly better pick this week than Szoboszlai. Ash, Captain Haaland, Salah, João Pedro, and Burmo. It's between Haaland and Salah for me. I do think if you are got enough faith in Salah as a pick to own him, then I probably would be looking to captain him as well. But yeah, Haaland is probably going to be my captain. I haven't ruled out captaining Saka myself. Sham, let me do it. Bench one, Caicedo, Enzo, Semenyo, or Rice. Probably Caicedo. Yeah, I have considered captaining Saka. I think it's quite close this week. Yeah, I think it's quite close. Did the Gabriel price fall affect your selling price? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I bought him at 6. But Van Dijk was also rising. So, yeah, it made sense to do it. I don't think there's... I mean, I'll touch wood, but I don't think there's that much that was going to change this morning to change who I was going to buy. Am I locked into free hit 13? No. Particularly because I bought Van Dijk this week. It just makes my 13 team a little bit better. Whereas I could have had an Arsenal defender away at Chelsea instead. Whereas Van Dijk's got West Ham. So I'm not locked into free hit 13. But I've got triple Palace against United while having Bruno. I've got Saka and Raya against Enzo. I've got Semenyo and Senesi away at Sunderland. It's not the best for me. I could, if I didn't have the free hit, would I worry about having all of those players? No. It's absolutely fine. I've got good players just with not perfect fixtures next week. So that's the thing. If we didn't have a first half of the season free hit, would I worry about my team next week? Not really. So yeah, that's why I'm not ruling out that I just roll with it. I would almost certainly roll my transfer. I could do a -4 to do Enzo to Thiago, but I'm not sure that's worth a hit now. My only way to get Thiago for Burnley at home would be Enzo out for a hit. Now, it's not impossible. Enzo to Potts and Guiu to Thiago and save the free hit for further down the line. That's possible. It's something I'm considering, but because it also fixes the Enzo problem. But then in game week 14, when Thiago walks into Arsenal away, it then suddenly doesn't feel so good again. So for me, I think the best place is free hit 13 and buy Thiago a couple of weeks further down the line. Mateta captain. I've had quite a lot of questions on Mateta captaincy. Mateta's not going to get my armband because I have the triple up on Crystal Palace, right? So I've got Sarr and I've got Richards. So it feels like overinvestment if I look to captain Mateta. If I didn't have that, I think he's 5th in my captaincy ranking. So I do think he's a good pick this week. Yeah. Can I add an Arsenal defender to your bench order? I would play your Arsenal defenders over all of them if you've got them. There's not many defenders this week that I would play. Like, I'd probably play Van Dijk over an Arsenal defender, but maybe that's about it. That's probably about it. Cool. Where were we? Far broad. Let me take a look. You have Gabriel, Timber, Senesi, Richards, Anderson. Would I do Gabriel to Van Dijk, Gabriel to 4 million, Paqueta to Bruno, or option 2 with a 5.3 million defender? Thing is, with your defense, you don't have a cheap defender, so I don't think you need Van Dijk. I'd be more inclined to allow you funds to do Paqueta to Bruno than doing Gabriel to Van Dijk, I think. You're chasing rank, you've got nothing to lose. I would disagree with that. I think if you're chasing rank this early on, you still have stuff to lose, because if you still play FPL sensibly or more cautiously and you get it right, that's still going to set you in good stead for the long term. So even if you're chasing, we're still only like a third of the way through the season. So I wouldn't just do differential things for the sake of it. But yeah. I mean, if you want to captain someone else, that's fine. Like, I think this is a good week to go against Haaland. If you don't fancy Haaland this week, there are other good captaincy options. There definitely are who will get close to him. That's absolutely right. But I have enough investment in Crystal Palace that I think I'm all right leaving it. Any news on Semenyo, please? Nothing really. Sounds like he had a slight injury after all. I still feels a little bit, I don't know, just the whole coming back from international break, proposing while he was meant to be on international break. Did he plan all of that in the day when he was returning home from injury? Like, I'm not certain. Or was it out there? I suppose that's a train of thought that I haven't thought. I just presumed that his girlfriend, it happened in the UK, but I suppose it could have happened in wherever they were playing, which is possible. But yeah, I think Semenyo will be okay, personally. Think he'll be okay. Semenyo on bench boost. So basically, if you're on bench boost with Semenyo, I'd look at the other 3 players that would be on your bench boost if Semenyo doesn't play. And if you think those players can get you 10 plus points, then yeah, I'd still play it. Basically, because if the other players on your bench boost are good enough, then I would just get rid of it. Bench 1, Anderson, Rice, Munoz, Thiago. I'd bench Anderson. It's either Anderson or Rice, but I'd play Rice over Anderson. Bench boost with Dubravka, Reinildo, Caicedo, and Semenyo / Gray. Probably having Caicedo on it is probably enough. I probably would do that and just hope Semenyo plays. Would I go Alisson over Raya given the Liverpool fixtures? I still think I'd want one Arsenal defender. So I also, if you're selling Gabriel and you don't have Raya, I'd be more inclined to go for a Timber or a Saliba. Whereas if you've got a David Raya or a Timber in your squad already, or you've already got a Saliba or a Calafiori potentially, I'd be more inclined to go with someone else like a Van Dijk, a Munoz, if you've already got a bit of Arsenal defensive cover. So I wouldn't want to be without any Arsenal, given their upcoming run of, like, even their percentage clean sheets are so high, even with slightly more difficult games. Like next week when Arsenal go away to Chelsea and Liverpool go away to West Ham, they have the same percentage clean sheet chance. Which feels crazy, but they do. If I free hit in 13, I will probably go without any Arsenal and just take it on. Not necessarily think it's the right idea or it's the like, do I think Arsenal won't score or won't win? I still think they probably will. But on free hit, you have to take some of these things on, I think. Will Kudus play? Yeah, they've said he's back in training, so he should be absolutely fine, yeah. Do I have a differential list? Yeah, I do have it should be in the top right in a few moments. Yes, there are some differentials in there for you. Playing Semenyo over Timber? Yes, I probably would, yeah. I'd play Semenyo if you've got him. Feels like either he's going to start or not be included at all. How much have I got in the bank? I have got now 0.7 million. I don't have an obvious place that I'm going to use it, but let me... I don't have an obvious place that I'm going to use it. But as I said earlier, big plan for me over the next couple of weeks is to buy Thiago. So Gabriel went and who else did I sell? And Die. And I bought Saka and I bought Van Dijk. Adjust transfer price. Yeah, Van Dijk was 5.9. So, in game week 13, the plan is to free hit. In game week 14, I would say my team looks pretty good. I've got Raya home to Brentford, Van Dijk home to Sunderland, Senesi, Richards, Bruno, Saka, Semenyo, Sarr, Enzo against Leeds, Mateta and Haaland. The only issue is that is a real Chelsea rotation risk game. It's the midweek one after we've just played Barcelona and Arsenal, and then we have Bournemouth away at the weekend. It is a risk game for Enzo. It definitely is. But that's the plan, is to roll in 14. If for whatever reason, who do like? Yeah. Like if like we thought, and I mean Chelsea play like on Wednesday nights, we're not going to know. So I'm going to roll, and then in 15 the plan is Enzo and Guiu with my 2 transfers to Thiago. And maybe not Enzo actually. It might be Sarr or Enzo to Thiago and Potts. The reason Sarr is because he's about to go to AFCON. Potts is 4-4 here. Thiago starting there. And then it's game week 16. I'll then have 5 free transfers. My team in game week 16 isn't perfect, but I'll have 5 free transfers. Like the only thing I massively would need is like I'm going to keep Mateta, I'm going to keep Haaland, maybe a slightly better defender. But with 0.7 million in the bank, I think it looks all right. So anyway, that's the plan. That's the plan over the next few weeks. 2 transfers done, free hit, roll for the midweek deadline, which will be quite nice because it's a very quick turnaround. So I won't massively have to think about it unless there's going to be lots to talk about which players are not going to start. There is, and I've said this for a while, when I bought Mark Guiu, there's going to be talk in game week 14 about whether Mark Guiu is going to start. There is going to be that talk. But same team as me, should I bench boost and get it over with? The issue is I probably wouldn't, because if you have a similar bench to me and you're going to make the swap to like in game week 16 or 17, where you've got like a Potts instead, then I wouldn't do it. Because like this game week 16 bench, Dubravka, Rodon, Richards, Potts is probably better than mine this week. Or like in game week 17, probably not Van Dijk. Something like that, like Dubravka, Rodon, Van Dijk, Potts is probably better. So if you've got a Krippy Jr. or a Mark Guiu, and you plan on swapping it to buy Thiago, then I would probably hold on to it and just make sure you buy a decent enough cheap mid when you make the swap. But yeah, that's my plan over the next couple of weeks. I haven't fully decided about whether I'm going to free hit. We'll have a look at that in a second. Fit wave, let me have a look. Would I still get Saka if I had Thiago and Munoz? Yeah, I don't think Thiago and Munoz impacts that transfer that much. So yes, I probably would. Thoughts on Timber over Van Dijk? I almost did it. I think the Arsenal defense remains the best in the league. So yeah. You got to shoot. Have I made the transfers? I've made the transfers. I think the only thing that's likely to change, not likely to change, that could change is the captaincy. But I think I'm going to captain Haaland. You have 2 free transfers. Gyökeres to Thiago, Semenyo to Saka, and Gabriel bench with Anderson playing, or sell Gabriel for a hit. I probably would do it. If you know who you're going to go with, I probably would do it anyway. Louis Chang 8872. Let me take a look at your team. Should you free hit? No, your team looks fine. I don't think... I'd probably play Senesi over Paulinho. But no, I don't think you need to free hit. Verbruggen, Minte, Gakpo, Welbeck for Wildcard. Free hit 13. I don't mind it. If I was going to free hit 13, I would be tempted by Welbeck and Gakpo. I don't mind Verbruggen and Minte. I'm just not sure I trust Brighton enough to have a triple up on them. Would I start Enzo, Senesi, Richards? Wolves will score. If you think Wolves score, then bench Richards. Yeah. This is the full benching ranking as well. It is going around in the top right, but it is a shortened 17-person list. Whereas this is your full list of players to potentially start or bench this week if you want to take a look. Need to bench one. Senesi, Calafiori, Caicedo. Probably bench Calafiori. I don't have Potts on the benching ranking. That's true. I mean, he's flagged this week, though, is the only thing. But he's probably quite low down this week because of that. They think he'll be available. He should be back next week regardless. So Potts is still in my plan. Daniel, out of interest, do you think Potts keeps his place long term? Because I don't really want to be buying him if he loses it. But he's great for DEFCON and he's taking some set pieces. He looks like the perfect cheap option. Timber isn't in the ranking. Would I play him? Pretty much. I think I had Timber on my free hit defense. So unless you owned a defense which was like Cucurella, Van Dijk, Munoz, and Timber, then maybe Timber's fourth there. But even in that situation, I'd probably play a back four. So I would say you're going to start Timber, yeah. Yeah. On free hit 13, so is it worth doing Krupi to Thiago? I mean, it depends if it improves your squad this week. If you're free hit next week, it definitely weakens the appeal of Thiago because you lose the Burnley fixture as part of your reason for transferring him in. But I still think long term you're going to want him. So if you're looking to buy a forward and you're on free hit 13 and you're like, oh, Thiago, but I'm not going to have him against Burnley, but he's still the best striker, then just still buy him. I'll probably still own Van Dijk on free hit, but him and Haaland are probably the only 2 players that I will keep on free hit next week in my entire squad, apart from maybe Dubravka. Reece James, Chelsea fans disagreed with me. I think he might not start. I do understand that it's difficult to know who would start in his place if it's not him. But, it could be João Pedro Delap, Enzo Caicedo with Gusto. I think it's very reasonable that Reece James doesn't start. I'm more in the camp that I think he doesn't, but I know Chelsea fans disagree with me. I posted about it a couple of days ago, and the comments were pretty mixed from Chelsea fans about whether they think... People are like, well, we can play him, get the game won, and take him off. And I'm like, yeah, but like, what happens if we get to 60 minutes and the game's not won, and then we've got Barcelona and Arsenal? I don't think Reece is great, but I don't think he changes whether we win today massively. I don't feel like it's that type of game, whereas I do think Reece has the ability to change an Arsenal or a Barcelona game. So him playing both of those feels much more important to me. I still don't love the Villa defence, like their data. And when I was doing my transfer targets video this week and I was looking at this data, I was really surprised to see Villa where they are. Now, they're third over the last 6, let's just caveat, and they are 10th over the season. But they were right at the bottom for a lot of weeks. Like, for the first 6 weeks of the season, they were in the bottom 3 for defences. So they definitely have improved. That's why I also like Verbruggen. Verbruggen, they're 5th over the season and 4th over the last 6. Ooh. Nearly fell off my chair. So there is that. I like Brighton. They're definitely interesting to me. They've been good. Brentford are up there. Arsenal, of course. Liverpool down in 18th. That's nice. But they did just play Man City. So there's a little bit of it, particularly with Bournemouth as well, that they played that Palace fixture. But yes, I've bought a defender from the team in 18th for XGC over the last 6, 9th over the season, and didn't buy from the team first. Good work. Nice one. Chris, would I do Semenyo and Burn to Mbermo and Anderson? You have Alderete on the bench. I just don't love the selling of Semenyo, but when people are like, Semenyo's my only route to Bruno or my only route to Saka, then maybe. I still don't think I'd do that, if I'm honest. I still don't think I'd sell Semenyo to Mbermo, but if Semenyo was to miss out, then it would be a great swap. I still don't think I'd be giving up the value on it. Anwar, you have one free transfer, Gabriel to Virgil van Dijk and Ndiaye to Saka for a hit, but you're short 0.4. For me, I mean, it depends what the rest of your defence looks like. You could go with a Konate. He's probably the one you'd go with. You just take Konate over Van Dijk and hope it doesn't swing too much. Enzo to Saka, is it a luxury transfer? Yes, this week it is. But it's probably a move you'll want to do. Because I would say there's not many weeks apart from this that Enzo's better than Saka. Like game week 16, Chelsea have Everton at home. Arsenal have Wolves at home. So Saka's better then. 18, 19. Saka's better every week than Enzo, apart from maybe this one. So I'd probably do it. But I don't know whether you definitely need to do it this week. Sleeper or Timber, I'd go Timber. Sorry, a couple of questions in the chat on Gyökeres. Basically, Arteta was like, Odegaard, Gyökeres, Madueke, Martinelli, Havertz, and I think there was one more. So there will be some returning to the squad at the weekend, and I'm not going to tell you who they are, is basically what he said. So we'll have to wait and see on who it is. My gut would say probably is Gyökeres, because he was the shortest term injury and it's the quickest turnaround. But we don't know. Sell Reinders, yeah. Reinders is a real issue. Like, you don't have to sell him if he's just on your bench, but you may as well move him to a cheaper midfielder. You may as well just move him down. 22, Mark, let me take a look. Would I do Gabriel to Richards and Semenyo to Saka for -4, or just Gabriel to Van Dijk? Like, in that situation, it depends. I'd want a premium defender. So if you've got a Timber, then I think that's fine. If not, I would probably want to keep one premium defender in my team. Thoughts on Konate? You've been priced out of Van Dijk. I don't massively have a problem with Konate. I think he's fine. My concern with him is the minutes over Christmas. He's had injury problems in the past, which has just ruled him out of an odd couple of games frequently. So That's why I think Van Dijk feels safer, definitely. But outside of that, if Konate was as fully fit, or as available as Van Dijk was, and they played the same number of games, I'd have no issue with going Konate. So it's only really a minutes thing. And so far this season, he's given us nothing to worry about, really. You're free hitting this week. Enzo, Welbeck, Fernandes, or João Pedro, Minte, and Burmo. I'd definitely go Burmo. I'd go João Pedro over Enzo. So Minte over Welbeck. Probably the second option. I would be tempted by Cunha as well. If you're on free hit, particularly. Should start up front. Yeah, or sort of part of the front three now with Sesko injured. O'Reilly for Gabriel. Yes. Again, just comes with a little bit. My only issue with O'Reilly, the fixtures coming up are great. And if he was going to play them all, great. But I still look at the risk with Aït-Nouri there in the short term, and I think that's too big a risk. I might own O'Reilly on my free hit in 13, but that will be only if he doesn't start in the Champions League midweek, in which case I might go O'Reilly, but it still comes with a risk every single week, and I'm not sure it's massively worth it. I find O'Reilly a really difficult one, because I do think he is a great player and he's playing really well, and Pep seems to like him, and he's definitely playing better than Aït-Nouri, and Aït-Nouri is going to AFCON, but could there be a game between now and then that Aït-Nouri starts in the league? Yes, very much there could be. Matty Cash is back available for those asking, alongside Konsa. Both of them are back. Duke, you have 4 free transfers. You've made 2. Gabriel to Van Dijk and Burn to Konsa. And you've got exact money to do Semenyo to Cunha and Ndai to Gakpo. Semenyo to Cunha and Ndai to Gakpo. I don't think I'd do those moves, no. I think I'd just wait. Yeah. Semenyo to Saka and Semenyo to Bruno is asked quite a lot. If you've got no other way in even the next couple of weeks to buy Bruno and Saka, then yes, I would do it. If Semenyo is your only route to them, then I would. But like, let's say he is available and Kluivert's out. You've suddenly got Semenyo at home to West Ham, away to Sunderland, at home to Everton, and he's on penalties. So I'm not really sure I'd want to sell that. But if he's your only route to Bruno and Saka, I would only do it if it's for free. And I'd only do it if it's your only route. We don't know Semenyo's going to start, right? Because I wasn't pictured in training on Thursday. He said he was a doubt on Friday. So we've got to take that at face value. So he might be out. And then if he is out, then having Saka and Burma in his place is a great place to be in, right? Marcus, let me take a look. Semenyo to Bruno for a hit on a bench boost, or wait till 14. I just don't think I'd sell Semenyo to Bruno for a hit. If you know you're going to do that transfer at some point and it makes the bench boost this week playable, then maybe, but still don't think I'd be doing that for a hit, I don't think. What do I think on De Ligt? He's probably my favourite United defender. Yeah. It's a shame Ahmad wasn't a defender, I think. It's a shame. He would be a really interesting pick and one we talk about quite a lot, but not sure we'd ever buy if Ahmad was a defender. Yeah, De Ligt's my favourite of the United defenders if you want to buy one. We are 45 minutes into the stream and I haven't even asked you to like or subscribe once. So if you haven't liked or subscribed, please could you? There is 4,000 of you in that haven't liked. So if 25% of you could like the stream, we'd hit 1,000 already. And subscribe if you are new. There is so much content for you over the next couple of weeks. Take a like. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. No Chelsea lineup news. No. Chelsea are not a team we massively get. Enzo Fernandez did post on Instagram last night. He did. And now you're going to think, Harry, that doesn't mean anything. And quite possibly it doesn't mean anything. But last time Enzo didn't play, he didn't post. Last international break, he didn't post. And he did post last night, which makes me think he's at least going to be in the squad. So, I mean, he said he's fine in the press conference. So, yeah. When do price changes happen? They happen about 1 a.m. But if you go onto Live FPL and check their price changes, it actually has a countdown for you. Live FPL and the Fantasy Football Scout ones are the same. But if I just bring this over, it tells you how long it is until the next set of price changes. So it's overnight every night. Interesting. Saar, I wouldn't mind Saar. Richards finally going up. How is Richards still 4.5? But Senesi's gone up to 5 million. Who else is predicted to fall tonight? This will all get updated after the deadline. It's really heightened because lots of transfers are being made at the moment. It slows down massively after the deadline, so half of these players won't be on it. But yeah, Enzo, let's just up it to a bit more high ownership. People going with the Bournemouth, Senesi going in, Casemiro, Szoboszlai, fine, Richard, Saar. Fine. Fine. Would I still buy Saar this close to AFCON? I don't think it's too late. I do think we're getting to the point where you probably shouldn't though, because I think this time a couple of weeks ago we sat here and said, well, you can buy players going away to AFCON because we've all got loads of transfers and then you can just sell them again. Now, you can sell them in game week 16. We get all the free transfers, right? So you could just sell them then, and I think that would be fine. But now that we've had to use transfers on Gabriel, now that we've had to use transfers on other things, I don't see many people having spare transfers all of a sudden, in which case buying players going to AFCON feels more like a luxury that we can't afford rather than a luxury we can afford. I don't mind that I bought Saar because with my future planning, he's got, he's going to get Wolves away, Burnley away, and maybe Fulham away. And then I'll probably sell him in 16 at the latest. Why Richards over Anderson? I just think, Palace are more likely to get a result than Fulham are. I just think Sunderland are more likely to score as well than Wolves are. I think there won't be that much in it, but I think Sunderland are very good. Have I only gone with Van Dijk because of the EO? I'm pretty sure Timber will have a much higher EO than Van Dijk does this week. And also, I posted a clip on it a couple of days ago. I said in my Game Week 6 wildcard team selection video, the plan with this team is I have one planned transfer, and that is in Game Week 12 to swap Gabriel to Virgil van Dijk. Now, that was before Gabriel started getting a load of attacking returns and keeping clean sheets in every single game he played in. But I did call it 6 weeks ago that I was going to do Gabriel to Van Dijk this week. It seems like a crazy coincidence that it is come in the week that I said it, and Gabriel has happened to have got injured this exact week. But yeah, I've been thinking about Van Dijk this week for quite a long time. It was always the plan when I wildcarded in 6 that this would be the week that I would look to buy him. But yeah, crazy that, nice job you cursed Gabriel. I know, I apologise. I didn't realise it until I watched that back. I was like, I'm sure I said somewhere I was going to buy it, and I went and found the clip. Saka captain. Yeah, if I wanted to captain against Haaland, Salah and Saka would probably be the two that I'd go with. It's just a benefit to captaining a midfielder that if he does the same as Haaland, he might outscore him. Yeah, I've made my 2 transfers. I bought Saka and I bought Van Dijk. Semenyo to Cunha. I don't think I'd do that. No. No. Lottery numbers need it. I would love to win the lottery. I mean, what an obvious thing to say, Harry. Congratulations. How Saka could have more for cap instead of Mbeumo. Well, Saka has the added benefit of being on penalties and more set pieces than I think Mbeumo is. Set pieces is probably the same. And I would say, I mean, the fixture's probably pretty similar, but Arsenal are more likely to win their game than the United are. And they're also predicted to score, I think, slightly more goals. Is Sarr better for this week than Ndai? Yeah, I wouldn't be looking to buy Ilman Ndai now. I mean, I sold him this week, so. Finally, some football back. It is good to have it back for sure. I'm looking forward to watching it. Although I'm actually travelling this morning, so I won't get to watch the Chelsea game. You're giving Ross more material to call me Jammy. I know. I know. I'm trying to get Ross and Oscar to do a bit of content with me over the next couple of weeks if we can find a time to do it online. Would be quite fun, I think. So stay tuned. Hopefully I can convince them. Minte or Thiago? Thiago over Minte. You went Rice instead of Saka. I still think it's fine. So actually, part of the reason that I wondered about I've gone Van Dijk over Timber is I also wonder about Rice. Because in my plan, in game week 16, if, for example, I wanted to go for a triple up on Arsenal, I could do Enzo to Rice. That is something I've considered. Doing Enzo to Rice in 16 with my transfer. Because I'm going to have to use a transfer. I probably will also want to upgrade something defensively for that week. Anderson's against Burnley, Virgil against Brighton, Raya against Wolves. Like, that's fine. But Senesi's not great. So I might have a look at making a defensive transfer. But I have considered Rice. So not going Timber also opens up the Rice. Kevin Schade also a possibility. Yeah, maybe I would just go Schade over him. I'm running a little bit short on funds, but I don't expect there'll be that much of a swing on Schade. There probably will be on Thiago, although I think he already rose last night. So the thing is, if Thiago scores today or whenever the game is, it's going to be really, it's a slight annoyance for those of us on free hit because people will steam into him for Burnley at home. And his price will go up. He'll probably rise twice next week if he scores. And then I'm not going to buy him until further down the line into my actual team. Why no Mateta captain? I've got Sarr and Mateta. It just feels like that's enough. That's enough coverage of them. That feels like enough coverage. Will we get the leaked Chelsea lineup? I don't think so. We didn't get it last time. Last international break, Chelsea were the early kickoff, so we didn't get it. I can offer a prediction on players if you need them. I think Enzo will start. He posted on Instagram. That's enough to go off for me, I think. Do I start Caicedo over Ndai? No, I think you start Ndai out of those. You're an Arsenal fan, you're a Liverpool fan and can't bring yourself to buy Van Dijk over Timber. I think that's absolutely fair. If you don't have faith in the Liverpool defence, I think just buying Timber is a very realistic thing to... yeah, just go and buy Timber. I think that's fine. Or Saliba. I do wonder if Saliba will become a a target from set pieces for them a little bit. Did I bench boost already? Yeah, I bench boost in game week 5, I think, before I wildcarded. It did quite well. I got 23 points. It was the week Reinders got his only other attack in return. It was the week he got an assist away at Arsenal, I think, or home to Arsenal. Who to bench? Van Dijk, Senesi, Richards, or Cucurella? Probably Richards. It's not Cucurella and it's not Van Dijk. Thoughts on Sessegnon? It's a real shame he's a midfielder, basically. If Sessegnon was a defender, he'd be right up there as a great pick. But sadly, he's a midfielder, and in the world of DEFCON, it's difficult to buy him. Darius, Gabriel to Anderson or Gabriel to Van Dijk, Xhaka to Potts. Thing is, I don't hate the Xhaka to Potts just to not have money there, but if Gabriel's your only expensive defender, then I probably would go Van Dijk. But surely Gabriel to Van Dijk, you don't need to do Xhaka to Potts to afford it, or if you've got another transfer. Because the Gabriel transfer isn't the hit, really. So I'd probably do Gabriel to Van Dijk, and if you've got another move that you need to free up money for, then I don't mind the Xhaka out to free it up. Restarting and Van Dijk or Timber benching. I'd probably play Van Dijk over Timber. It's close, and I'm not sure Reece will start. Bench Semenyo or Sarr 3-4-3, including Mateta and Mark Gay. If I had to play Semenyo or Sarr, I'd probably start Semenyo, and if he doesn't, Sarr will sub in. I wouldn't want to bench either of them, though. Potts or King transfer in on bench boost. That's difficult, because I think if you're on bench boost, you have to go King, because I don't think there's a guarantee that Potts is back available. If Potts plays, he's definitely the better pick than King now, but I'm not sure you can realistically buy that. The other reason that I really like Potts going forward when I make this move is his fixtures over from that period onwards are actually really nice. It would be a game week like 15 move, right? So it would look like this. So to have Potts just like on your bench, if he does keep his place for this run, is really nice. And particularly over the really busy Christmas period here, right? 18 through to 21. He's got Fulham at home, Brighton at home, Wolves away, Forest at home. Like, it's a really nice run for West Ham. So if he starts Bournemouth, Liverpool, United, he will probably be the one that I go with. And I think he looks like he could be a great pick. We spoke about him at the start of the season, and he didn't, he didn't come to it first of all. Can someone ask my thoughts on Gravenberch? Of course. So he's had 5 returns this season, but I think he's the biggest overperformer of midfielders in the entire game. I still don't think it's massively sustainable. I think he's fine. If you like a Caicedo type pick, if you like a Xhaka type pick, he falls into a similar boat. He's not as good for DEFCON as those guys, but I think he's okay. I don't expect him to get nearly as many as attacking returns as he has going forward, though. God, all the Australians are in the chat. Is it the end of... Oh, it's finished. Oh, right. Oh, it finished. Okay. Good work, England. You were doing so well. And then Travis Head. Yeah. Good work. Who to start? Mukiele, Rodon, Tarkowski, or Minte? Definitely Minte. Definitely. How long to hold João Pedro? I think you'll be looking to sell him after this week. I think that is similar for a lot of the Chelsea players, because the game week 14 fixture is midweek and there will be rotation there. Do I think Reece James will start? If I had to guess, I'd say no. Rice or Enzo to Saka? I think Rice is a better long-term pick than Enzo now, probably, with the fixtures. Please, can you explain why Anderson over Voltemada on the bench? I don't really fancy Voltemada that much. I don't feel like Newcastle are creating enough chances. And I do like Anderson. Like, even if he... Thing is, for Walter to outscore Anderson, he has to get a return. Because even if Anderson concedes 3 goals to Sunderland, he's likely to get DEFCON. His floor feels like 3, and he could easily get more. Whereas Walter has to get an attacking return. Now, he could definitely do it against City, but I'm just not that, not that fussed by it. Anderson or Buendia as a 5th mid. Definitely Elliot Anderson. Now, that is something worth talking about. One player I wish I could go to instead of Potts, but I won't be able to, is Elliot Anderson. He basically feels a slightly more expensive, slightly more nailed version of Potts. He's down to 5.3 now. And everything we thought he'd be a good pick for at the start of the season has been there. Let me get the transfers page up, and then we can just do it here. Everything we thought Anderson would be a good pick for is basically what he's doing. He scored last week. It was a pen. Like, he's just been really unlucky with his DEFCON. Like, he's not hit below 10 DEFCON this season, but he has hit 11, 11, 11, 10, and 11. 5 games he's hit just below the threshold. So if he'd have hit DEFCON even in a couple of those, he looks like a good pick. He looks like he's doing everything that we wanted him to do at the start of the season. West Ham Insta post has Potts in it. Those social media posts, unfortunately, they don't tend to know the team news. We've tried to use them before for sort of indicators, but they don't tend to know these sorts of things, unfortunately. Would I take a -4 for Iliman Ndiaye to Mbeumo or Bruno? Probably not a -4, but if I was going to do one, I think I'd just buy Bruno now. That's generally my recommendation. If you can afford Bruno, I would just go there for the long term. Now, Mbeumo might do better than him in the short term, the next 4 potentially, but I think I would just go Bruno now. Their price is very, very similar. Do I think Caicedo will start? Yes, I do, yeah. We don't really have enough players in that position to not play him. Petrov, let me have a look. Reinders to Bruno or Mark Guy to Thiago for a hit. And bench Reinders. I'd rather Bruno this week. Yeah. So probably Bruno. It might depend what your plan is for free hit. Because if you're not free hit 13, then maybe you want to buy Thiago. I'd want both of them, basically. Bruno's better short term if you're free hit 13, if not Thiago. Is Ndiaye to Sarr for a hit worth it? No, definitely not. Definitely not. No, wouldn't be doing that. Dylan, let me take a look. You don't have enough in the bank to go and die for Saka. Can I get Chalobah for Gabriel to get Saka, or Saka not worth it and go Van Dijk? If I couldn't have afforded Saka for Ndiaye and I had the same team, I probably would have just gone cheaper than Van Dijk. I think the Saka transfer was more important to me than the Van Dijk transfer. Would I remove Gabriel and who for? So I bought Van Dijk. There is a list of best defenders to buy in the top right. There is also a much bigger benching ranking for you, which we can have a look at. There you go. Let me leave that up for you 1 second. Let me get that. Let me open that. Can I please say something about Semenyo? So the quotes are really not very helpful. He basically said he does have an ankle injury, but so we'll have to see, is basically the language he used, and it's really not very helpful. So I do think I would start Semenyo if I've got him. I probably wouldn't be looking to sell him, but Yeah. I don't feel so bad about Semenyo because I do have Anderson first sub, which I think is absolutely fine if he plays. Are they the same time? That's game week 17. It's not very helpful. Yeah, they are. Okay. So at least I know when Anderson kicks off if I want, unless he's on the bench. Hit for Gabriel to Saliba and Ndiaye to Sarr. I don't think Ndiaye to Sarr is worth a hit, even if you're chasing. Would I take a hit to sell Pope? Probably not, no. No. Would I bench boost Dubravka, Minte, Senesi? Yes, definitely. If you've got Senesi and Minte on your bench, 100% I'd bench boost, yeah. Would I have done the transfers for a hit? Probably not. I probably would have just played Anderson, I think. The Semenyo would have made me more inclined to do it for a hit, though, because at least now I've got a good first sub. I mean, Rodon would have been a fine first sub, actually, but I probably would have been more inclined to say yes, I'd have done it for a hit because of Semenyo being a doubt. But I think I probably would have just played Anderson. Starts Richards or Kanate. Kanate. Actually, I take that back. I probably would have done it for a hit. The reason being is those two transfers in game week 14, game week 15 even. If I didn't take a hit, I'd have to take a hit anyway. These would then become a hit, or I wouldn't be able to do them, and I'd only have one transfer. So I probably would have done it for a hit because I think it would have benefited my team just as much further down the line. But do I think it's worth a hit this week? No. Why Richards over Anderson? Just Palace are back to have a better chance of winning than Fulham are. And I think Sunderland are better than Wolves. We might see something different under the new Wolves manager. Feels like there's a bit of a feel-good factor there, but yeah. Why don't I rate Martinez higher as a goalkeeper option? He just feels slightly too expensive. He's competing with a lot of good goalkeepers at a similar price. Like you've got Sanchez, you've got Alisson, who's not that much more than him. And I still, like, Villa's defensive data is good, but I still see them, conceding the odd goal a little bit. So I don't mind him, but I still don't know how much I back the Villa defense at the moment. What are my thoughts on Tarkowski? Bench for Alderete this week? Yes, probably. Madueke is fit. Isn't Saka's minutes at risk? I don't see a world where they're benching Saka for Madueke. It might happen in an odd game. Definitely could. And he might come off a little bit early. But that could happen to any player, really. So it doesn't put me off. And it will probably only take Saka off if they're winning comfortably. Like if the game's 1-1, he's not taking Saka off. So if they're 3-1 up, then fine. But him getting slightly reduced minutes just means he's more likely to start every game. So the Madueke return, I trapped my hand in a door this morning and it's stinging. It is really stinging. That's why I was slightly late for the start of the stream. I trapped my hand in my door, like across the fingers, and I burnt my toast. It was not a great start to the morning. Wasn't the best. Sakath, let me have a look. Bench 1, Senesi, Richards, Calafiori, and Ndiaye, Semenyo, Thiago. Probably Calafiori. Calafiori or Richards, probably. Just with Calafiori. If Calafiori is your only arse defender, I'd start Calafiori and bench Richards. If you've got a David Raya, then maybe I'd play Richards. But you've got a few flagged players. It might not end up meaning anything. You think it would be wise to get rid of AFCON players before game week 15? No. Just, we're all going to have transfers in game week 15 that we have to use, right? Everyone's going to have at least one. Because even if you've used all your transfers, you'll get a game week 15 transfer. So we're all going to have transfers to make in game week 15. And if you don't know what to do, selling a player who's going to go to AFCON in a couple of weeks feels like the obvious thing to do. Yeah, I almost had the Palmer injury situation. I know it does hurt though. How long's it going to hurt for? Is Semenyo a sell this week? I don't think so, personally. I'm keeping on to him. And if he doesn't play, I've got Anderson. Yeah, escape room out of my own home. Why not captain Mateta against Wolves this week? So I've got a triple up on Palace, so it doesn't really feel like I need to go even more in on that. Ray, thank you for joining as a member. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for all the members who have signed up recently. I appreciate your support. You've got the different tiers up above for you. And die to Saka for a hit. I don't think it's really worth a hit, if I'm honest. So no. But would I be happy just to get it done and in a couple of weeks have transfers to do something else rather than still consider it? Yes. So that's the dilemma. Keep Semenyo. Yes, I would. Yeah. Yes. Right, we are less than an hour to go, and I haven't put it in subscriber only mode. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. You literally will have had to have subscribed for 1 second to start being able to use the chat again. And if you haven't liked at this moment, please could you do so? We are 100 likes away from 1,000. Yeah. Reinders to Saar for a hit. Would I sell Reinders for a hit? If you're having to start Reinders, then yes. If Reinders is on your bench, then no. Which option is the best midfield now? If I was on Wildcard, I'd have something like Bruno, Saka, Minte, and then a mid-price. So someone like a Semenyo or a Saar or a Gakpo or Burmo, depending on your team value. And then a cheap one like a Potts. That's what I'd do if I was on Wildcard this week. And then I'd go Mateta, Haaland, Thiago, front three. Next manager to be sacked. That is a good question. Let me look at the table. Who is going to be the next manager sacked? Who's underperforming? There's talk of Newcastle and Fulham. I'm going to go Leeds. Yeah, Leeds. Daniel fuck. Slot? Nah. If you're bench boosting, would I sell Semenyo? No, I don't think I would. Fulham? Yeah, Fulham or Leeds? It won't be Slot. Semenyo to Saka. I still don't love the Semenyo out move. It's my general opinion. If you can get Saka or Bruno and you want to sell Semenyo to do it, then I think that's fine. But I would look to another route to buy those players if you can. If you don't have any other route to buy Saka and it's only selling Semenyo, then yeah, I think Saka's better than Semenyo, but I don't particularly love it. No, we're not getting an assistant manager chip this season, no. Would I do and die to Saar? No. Feels too sideways now. No. Saka to Salah? No, I wouldn't do that. I actually think Saka's equal to Salah over the next few, so no, I wouldn't. Unless you're really chasing and you're going to captain Salah in all of the next 3 games, then maybe, but yeah. Will we have AFCON debt transfers after the game week deadline? So between game week 15 and 16. Yeah, so when FPL updates for game week 16, after the game week 15 deadline, you'll have 5 free transfers. Loads of questions on Reece James. What percentage do I think he starts today? 40. That feels quite, yeah, 40. Calafiori to Timber, you're on Wildcard. Yeah, if you're on Wildcard, I would go Timber over Calafiori, definitely. Minutes just feel slightly safer. Would I bench boost with Semenyo and Calafiori? The rest of your bench would have to look pretty good. So probably not. Probably not. Is Alisson starting? Yeah, we think he is. He's back in training, so I don't see any reason why he wouldn't come back in. Would I do Mbermo to Saka? No. I'd probably wait and just have that move penciled in, like I just keep the money for it, but I'm not sure I'd do that, especially this week. On bench boost, would I do Semenyo and Gordon to Saka and Ndai, or just do Gordon to Gakpo? Semenyo and Gordon to Saka and Ndai. I don't think I'd buy Iliman and Ndai now. I think I'd just do Gordon to that midfielder and leave the money for Semenyo to Saka for the future. Using 4 transfers and changing Semenyo to a Gakpo. I don't think I'd do that either. I think the only players I'd sell Semenyo to are Bruno, maybe Mbermo, and Saka. Or Salah, if you can afford it. Does Gay start? Yeah, so he's back in Palace training. Absolutely fine, we think. So yes, if you've got him, Palace defence should be back to what it was. Who to bench? Would I go Rice, Semenyo, Enzo, Ndai, or Thiago? If I had to bench one of those, that's quite close. Rice or Ndai would be the top 2 for me. I'd probably be inclined to play Rice over Ndai. It's quite close, that one, though. Ndai to Rice? I don't think I'd do that right now. No. I don't think so. That is a transfer I could do in 14 if I was planning on rolling, is buy Rice for Brentford at home. If I wanted to. Is possible. You fairly sure Enzo starts? I would say I think Enzo starts. I don't see why he wouldn't now. We also don't have enough players particularly. Like, I think Enzo starting is more likely than Reece starting. And I don't think we're going to play without Reece and Enzo. Like, I think at least one of those starts. We don't really have enough in that midfield to not start at least one of those. And I don't think it will be Reece. They both could start. Like, it's not one or the other. Would I captain Mbermo? Would I consider it? I'd consider it. Like, I've considered Bruno. It falls into a very similar camp. Would I do it? Probably not. Like, I don't think he's definitely better than Haaland is personally. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Haaland. If I didn't have Sarr, would I more likely consider Mateta captain? Yes, probably. That's probably why I'm not on Mateta captain and I haven't thought about it that much, because having Sarr and Mateta feels enough Palace coverage to not need to captain it. Now, you might just say, well, Harry, if you think they're going to be the highest scoring players, you should just captain them. And maybe that's right, but I think that's enough risk in Palace to not need to captain when you've got great players like Haaland and Saka as well. So, yeah, that's where we're at. I think I don't mind the Mateta captain at all. Like, do I think Mateta has an equal chance to score than Haaland this week? Quite possibly. Yeah, I don't think there's that much in it. There probably is in percentage-wise, but when from a just like gut feel point of view, I don't think there's that much in it. Thoughts on having Saka and Rice? I don't mind it. There is a world where I do that from further down the line. It might not work, so I might just go someone like a Kevin Schade, but from like game week 16, there's a chance. I don't know how much I love all the fixtures, but I could end up with Rice and Saka. Is starting Van Dijk, Luka Dean, and Richards this week with Senesi and Sleep on the bench bad? I would definitely play Senesi over Luka Dean and probably over... yeah, I'd definitely play Senesi in that team. Sarr or Enzo in the wildcard? I'm more likely to go Sarr than Enzo, I think. Sarr or Caicedo? I'd definitely start Sarr. Casemiro or Anderson? Can't afford Enzo. Casemiro needs to have been rejuvenated. I'd probably go Elliot Anderson if I was buying a midfielder at that price. I know he's got Liverpool this week, so it's not great, but from next week, it's good. Thank you all for 1,000 likes, by the way. Welcome back to FPL Gameweek 12. It is good to be back. It definitely is good to be back. I've got 0.7 million in the bank now. Would I bench boost with Dubravka, Anderson, Mukiele, and Xhaka? You have Semenyo. Yes, I think I would. Because Mukiele, Xhaka, Dubravka, I probably would think has a decent enough chance of doing all right. So yes, I probably would. Would I start two? Semenyo, Anderson, Minte, Enzo. Definitely bench Anderson and probably bench Minte and play Semenyo and Enzo and have Minte first sub. Who to bench? Rice, Semenyo, Enzo, and Dye or Thiago? Yeah, we did. Probably in Dye or Rice, probably in Dye. And Dye to Mbermo, Rice, Gakpo, or Semenyo to Saka. I feel like the Ndai to Mbermo, Rice, Gakpo, and keeper Semenyo is a better short-term move, but I don't know if it's better long-term. Yeah. So I still think Ndai out is a better transfer for you this week, though. Craig. Minte, Bruno, Sarr, Semenyo, Enzo, bench 1. Probably has to be Minter and then have him first sub. Anderson or Rodon. I'd play Anderson over Rodon. Who to bench? Rice, Semenyo, Enzo, and Diot Thiago. There's a lot of benching rankings, so let me put back up the full list for you. If you want to take a look at your players, this was done yesterday. Yeah, this was done yesterday. So it's pretty up to date. Can I add Foden to the lists? Foden. Yes. Where would I put Foden? I would put him above Xhaka, above Calafiori, above Lacroix, above Senesi, probably below Munoz, probably above Caicedo, in and around 13. How does this work? So basically the players are ranked. So number 1 is the best and number 40 is the worst. So whoever's higher up is the one I would start. So for example, I'd start Semenyo over Gabriel. I would start Chalobah over Dewsbury Hall. I would start Reinders over Esteve. I would start Enzo Fernandez over Semenyo. I'd probably look to bench Reece James because I'm not certain he's definitely going to start. Saka captain, yeah. If you're looking to go against Haaland, Saka and Salah are the two that I think get close. I don't mind Mateta and I don't mind the Man United mids. Wildcard, Thiago or Sarr, Semenyo or Gakpo. You have double Palace. I'd go Thiago over Sarr or Wildcard because it's also the squad structure you want in a 3-4-3, I think. And Semenyo or Gakpo, probably would still go Semenyo. Probably. I like Gakpo short term, but I think Semenyo is better long term pick on a wildcard. Would I start Gyökeres over Iliman and Dye? No, I'd play and Dye over Gyökeres. Worth buying Sarr now? Not unless you've got at least a couple of transfers that you're not using. If I didn't use my bench boost, would I use it this week? No, because I think in a few weeks, I'm going to switch to a 3-4-3 and I would then have a better midfielder as the cheap option than Mark Guiu is for a forward. So I would just save my bench boost if I had a Guiu or a Kripke Jr. Plan is free hit 13. Potentially, I might delay it potentially to 14, 15 or 16. And triple captain 17 is the plan at the moment, yeah. No, Reece James isn't injured. Just Chelsea play Barcelona and Arsenal in the week straight after the Burnley game, and he can't play quite as many minutes as we'd like him to. So he could play all 3 and then get a rest against Leeds. That's also possible, but I'm just not certain he definitely needs to play this Burnley game. I'm not sure it's worth the risk for Chelsea, personally. You missed your super chat. Sorry. Bowen, start, sell for Thiago for a hit. Or bench for one of them. I'd just play Bowen. I wouldn't sell him for a hit. And I'd play him over all of those. Thoughts on Calafiori? I think he probably will play. But, yeah, I wouldn't go buying him now, I don't think. I think he probably will play. Are Arsenal... Oh, they're tomorrow, aren't they? North London derby. Yes. João Pedro benching. I'd play him. Like, if you've got João Pedro away at Burnley, he needs to be starting for those. Yeah. Do I think there's a world where Reinders plays against Leeds for those of us who still have him? Definitely. If, for example, he doesn't start the Champions League midweek, I think there's an all right chance that Reinders would play the game. So if you're benching if you can bench Reinders this week and review going into next weekend whether you think he's going to start or not, I don't think that's a problem at all. I don't think that's a problem. You've got a bad feeling about a late kickoff under the lights at St James's. Yeah, it's not the best fixture for Haaland. I do get that. But I'm also not certain how... I mean, it is a good fixture for Saka, but it's not like stand out, I don't think. And at least this way, like if I captain Saka and I don't captain Haaland, Haaland damages my rank if he does well. Whereas at least if I do it this way around, all of my players do well for my rank if they score. So at least I can celebrate all of my players, which is always a nice little benefit. I just think it's going to be on Haaland. I know I can't have my points back, but if Haaland had scored the pen against Liverpool, he blanked away at Villa, 8 away at Brentford, 9 away at Arsenal, 9 away at Brighton, 13 away at Wolves. He has done better at home, like home to United, home to Burnley, home to Everton, home to Bournemouth. He has done better than that. He has done better at home than he has away. So if there's ever a week to go against him, this is probably it. Yeah, I'm all about laying carpets. Semenyo is injured. You have the info. I don't think so. Well, I don't know, but based on the press conference yesterday, he has a slight knock. So, yeah, my prediction with Semenyo is I think he plays, but he might not. I've got Anderson first sub, so I'm not particularly worried about it. Play Mark Gay or Enzo? Definitely Enzo. Yeah, if you've got Enzo, yes, I would be playing him this week. I do think Mark Gay will play, though. He's been back in Palace training. A couple of questions about him in the chat. Yeah, looks absolutely fine. Yes, triple captain Bruno. I would not do that. No, I think there's much better options. Would I sell Gakpo this week? Probably not. Like, if you've held Gakpo this week, I would... if you've held Gakpo this long, I would just play him. Like, he's probably going to start this one. If you've held him for this point, now's not the time to sell him, I don't think. Senesi, Timber, Kanate, Lacroix, bench 1. None of them, really. Probably Lacroix. None of them. I'd rather play a back 4, I think. But probably the Palace one. Probably Lacroix. Goalkeeper transfers, I don't particularly like. I imagine this is asked by someone who owns Pope. And if I had Pope, I probably would just keep on to him unless you needed to sell him to get the money. So I probably wouldn't go selling Pope if you've got him. I just think you keep him. Because some of the Newcastle fixtures from game week... Ooh. I don't know what happened there. You've now got my fantasy challenge team. And the fixture ticker has disappeared. Some of the Newcastle fixtures from further down the line do actually look pretty good. So from next week, I think Pope's a fine goalkeeper if you've got him. So I think you just have to ride it out this week and hope, like, as long as Arsenal concede to Spurs, then you're basically in the same boat. And then you've got a good keeper from next week in Pope. So no, I don't think I'd sell Pope. Would I do O'Reilly or Richards in for Gabriel? Gives me enough to get Semenyo to Saka next week. I'd rather Richards. I think he just feels safer. O'Reilly does have that high upside. Maybe he's more exciting, and for some people, that's probably a better pick, but still comes with enough element of doubt for me in the short term. Will Caicedo start? Yes. I don't see any reason not to. Yeah, I think Caicedo will start. Nothing on Chelsea. Those asking, I imagine you're asking on particularly Reece James, but also Enzo, Caicedo, João Pedro. Yeah, I think Reece James is at the biggest risk. I'm just getting my notifications up because in case someone says they want to tag me in anything that they see. We don't tend to get any early Chelsea team news, though. It's not a team we normally get it for. Sorry. And Burmo captain, he's in the conversation that I would consider going against Haaland, but I'm just not sure it's massively worth doing. Like, if we look at Rob T, like if you look at Game Week 12 market projected goals, Haaland is top with 0.7. Like, Mbermo is 0.3. Now, you might just be that you back Newcastle more than the data does, and that's fine. But just be a little bit cautious of maybe some of those. Like, I think Mbermo's a fine pick, but I'm not sure I'd captain him now. Yeah, Haaland is way up. Salah, Mateta, Isak, Ekatike, but, you know, that's based off the player starting and playing 90, basically. So, Evan Nilsson, Welbeck, Saka, Semenyo, Delap, João Pedro, Gakpo, Jimenez, Marino, Strand Larsen, Kluivert, Cunha, Thiago. Waltemada's higher up here than I thought he'd be, which is interesting. Those of you with Waltemada, the data predicted points puts him higher up than I anticipated he'd be. Yeah, which is interesting. But yeah, 34% chance of projected goals. 0.34 projected goals, not a 34% chance of scoring. Slight difference. Isak's very high. Yeah, if he starts though. Those basically don't put into the context of will they start or not. It basically says if they start, what's the chance they score? Which is why you've got Isak and Ekatike both so high and a very similar number, because it basically thinks if they start, they have a great chance of scoring, but only one of them is likely to start. C-note, of course I can. Enzo or Virgil van Dijk? Enzo, I think. Calafiori for Senesi and Enzo for Saka. I don't mind those couple of transfers, actually. If they're for free, yeah. That's all right. Bench Minte or Richards? I'd play Richards. I play Minte over Richards, yeah. Do we need to think about having funds to get Isak in if he gets into the team? Yes. If Isak gets in and starts playing every week, then yes, we will need to find a way to get him because he could score an awful lot of goals in that Liverpool team. But I said it for a while, I don't think that will happen until after the Christmas period because there'll be too much rotation for that Liverpool front line unless they start playing Isak and Ekatike together. If they maintain that they're going with one forward in either Isak or Ekatike, I don't think we will be buying either of them anytime soon. Bench Thiago. Sorry. Had to sneeze. play Thiago or Rice. Thiago. Is it good game week to bench boost with Semenyo and Enzo? We think Enzo will be fine. They've removed the flag as well. If your bench is really good and you've got Semenyo, then I think it's okay. If not, you could hold it. Bench Thiago, Semenyo, or sell Semenyo to Minte. I wouldn't sell Semenyo to Minte, and I'd probably play Semenyo over Thiago. Thank you. Start Welbeck or O'Reilly. Start Welbeck or O'Reilly. Welbeck. Definitely Welbeck. I don't know why I hesitated so much. Thiago or Enzo. Probably Enzo just for this week, and then Thiago's better long term. You don't get the hype with Minte. It's just the fixtures are really good. He looks pretty nailed. His open play threat's not bad. He's their main outlet at the moment, and he's on some set pieces. He just takes a lot of boxes. So I don't mind him. I think he's fine. Like, he's also cheap, right? He's 6 million, so he's cheaper than all of the others. So if you can't quite afford a Sarr or a Rodgers or a Rice or an Enzo, Minte is probably the next best that does very similar to those other ones. Gakpo or Semenyo? Semenyo, still probably. Hope you enjoyed the international break. I did. Do I think James and Caicedo start this week? You have both. I think Caicedo will. I'm less certain on Reece James. I don't think Reece James definitely doesn't. But I think there's risk there. There's going to be. I'd be surprised if it's completely full strength today for Chelsea. If you again see anything on Twitter that you want me to see or team news you're scrolling in, then please do tag me. If not, I will of course have a look myself. But no. Timber or Gay. I probably wouldn't want to ever bench an Arsenal defender, so Gay. Free hit or wildcard today. Game week 12 is a good wildcard week, so probably more inclined to wildcard than free hit. Free hit 13 also works, but yeah, depends. Wildcard, you're running out of opportunities to play it that are going to get any sort of real benefit, but no one's really had the best opportunity of a wildcard because the players that you're picking haven't swung enough that you really needed a wildcard to do it with that much. And we're now at the point where we're pretty close to game week 16, where we're going to get more additional transfers that if we have things that go wrong, as long as you can get through to that and make the changes then, like, apart from really, Palmer's not been there, we haven't really had anything from Salah enough that there hasn't been enough to massively shift the way that the wildcards look. There have been enough small changes, like they haven't been exactly the same. Like Sarr has come in, Enzo maybe, you've changed the defenders around a little bit. But there hasn't been enough in terms of swinging the way that a wildcard looks, unfortunately, for anyone. Yeah. Who to bench? Chalobah, Minte, or Kanate? I'd play Minter, probably Chalobah or Kanate. Probably play Kanate at home. Why not captain Sarr or João Pedro? I mean, João Pedro has still not had massive shot volume, and Sarr is a very frustrating own. That anyone who's got Sarr knows what it's like having him when he gets chances and he doesn't finish them. And I've also got double Palace, so I'm not on a Palace captain, but I would never really trust Sarr with a captaincy. Lane, bench one, Enzo, Thiago, Semenyo, or Sarr. That's not very easy. I would be tempted to say Thiago, but probably not because he's on penalties. What's the goal scorer odds potential on that? Enzo 29%. Thiago's higher, so you play Thiago. Semenyo. Where's Bournemouth? Clivert. Semenyo's definite start, and then Sarr of Palace there. So, who was the other one? Enzo. So it's either Sarr or Enzo. And it might depend if you've got like Mateta. Mate, would I agree that bay leaves are a scam? Are those you put them in your cooking, don't you? I don't really use bay leaves, but I don't really know what they do. So, yes. Richards or Semenyo to start. I'd definitely play Semenyo, and start Chalobah or Semenyo. I'd also play Chalobah. Did we say Cash was okay? Yes. If you've got Cash, you've got Konza. Looks like they'll both be okay. Is Semenyo captainable? I probably wouldn't do that because there is a small chance that he's just on the bench for them. So I probably wouldn't. If he was fully fit, then yes, I think he is captainable. Although his data and his returns over the past few weeks have definitely dropped. You love bay leaves, but you hate to fish them out of your dish. What do they do? Presumably they add some sort of flavour, but it's a leaf. Please help. Semenyo to Saka and Gabriel to Van Dijk, or bench Gabriel and Ndai to Sarr. If Semenyo to Saka is your only way to Saka, I would do it. As a Chelsea fan, do I think James will start? My prediction on Reece James is 40% think that he starts, so 60% that he doesn't. According to the scoring odds, chat I should bench and die and risk James. No, because James isn't also on there. It's just more his clean sheet percentage, but it's more about his chance of starting, not getting a return. Yeah. Flavour and aroma. Interesting. Thoughts on Cunha over Mbeumo? I actually don't mind it. He's a really good differential, I think, Cunha, particularly with the Sesko injury and then Mbeumo going to AFCON. Late decision you're struggling with. You need to cover Semenyo. You're selling Gabriel and Reinders, Timber and Gravenberch, or Chalobah and Enzo or Szoboszlai. I don't love Chalobah long term, really, so maybe the Timber route, but I don't love Gravenberch. I'd rather the Chalobah combination, I think, than the Gravenberch one. Infuses flavours. Thank you, Sandpan. Connor, welcome to base tier member. Who to bench between Semenyo, Caicedo, Rice, and Dye and Gay? I'd benchmark Gay there. When is the next bench boost week? It depends a little bit on your team. If it looks good in any specific week, then just play it. If not, game week 16 and game week 17 are not bad. There are some weeks after we get AFCON transfers that the newly promoted teams have decent enough fixtures that your bench will just look all right. So I wouldn't worry about it unless you've got lots of injuries, and then you might not ever get to play it. But there are weeks further down the line from game week 16, 17, and someone in the chat also mentioned 18, that the bench boost doesn't look too bad, so you could just have a look to save it until then. Semenyo to Saka for a -4. No, I wouldn't do that. Help, would I buy Senesi or Richards or Konate? Probably Senesi. When will I use the triple captain? The plan is game week 17. Haaland has West Ham at home. Is the plan. I might also use it in 15, or if I don't free hit in 13, it's possible. But right now, I think I'm going to free hit 13. So then it's between 15 and 17. And 15 is the end of the midweek weekend, which might be fine for Haaland because it actually makes Sunderland weaker because they're not used to it and City are. But I would say West Ham are probably the weakest of those teams, and it will be in a home game. Is it true we get double chips this season? Yes, you get one set of chips before between 1 and game week 19, and then you get a second set afterwards. You have to use them in the first half. You can't stack them. Saka cap, yeah, if you wanted to go against Haaland, he is up there with Salah, maybe Bruno and Burmo and Mateta is the ones I would even consider going against Haaland with. Yes. Nothing. No news anywhere on Chelsea. We don't really get Chelsea, unfortunately. Is João Pedro captain on the table? Not really. I just think there's definitely better options than him. Yeah, right time is running out. Double Palace, Munoz and Richards. Drop one and split the difference and take a chance on James. This would mostly be his last week. Give me a parting gift. I probably would play Richards over James and just take what I know rather than take the gamble. Would I do and die to Sarr or Rice or roll? And die to Sarr or Rice or roll? I'd probably roll. I'm not sure that those transfers need to be done this week. Personally, Caicedo, Rice and die bench. Let me get the full benching ranking up. We've got 10 minutes to go until the deadline. So if you haven't already, please do drop a like on the stream. Subscribe if you are new. And thank you very much for joining. I hope you're having a lovely Saturday morning. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining. But yeah, if you want to like and subscribe, here's the full list for you. Thoughts on Voltemada to Thiago? I think that's a fine transfer, especially if the money helps you further down the line. Raya or Sanchez? Who did I put? Oh, we have an issue with our goalkeeper ranking, and I've only just noticed. Donnarumma's name is too long to fit in a line, so I have to take out the double N and double M's. Sanchez over Raya. If you've got both of them, that's a lot of money to spend on goalkeepers. Do I think there's a chance and die outscores Senesi? Yes. A penalty taken attacker. Always, I'd probably play over defender, even with good defcon. Semenyo for Gakpo for a hit? No, I wouldn't do that. Is Alisson ready to play? It sounds like he is. He's been back in training. So, I mean, it's not definite that he comes back in, but I think they'll want to get him back in to try and get a bit of solidity back into them as soon as possible. Yeah, I mean, if Semenyo doesn't play, Anderson first sub is not the end of the world for me either. Saliba or Timber? If I had to, I'd go Timber over Saliba. I do wonder if Saliba will become the main threat from Arsenal set pieces going forward while Gabriel is out, unless Marino's on the pitch, in which case it's always Marino. Why don't I include Ballard in the benching ranking? He's been a great pick. He's just slightly too expensive. That's the issue. If he was 4.4 or 3 like the other Sunderland defenders, then he'd be a very popular pick and he'd be a great pick. So it's just as a result, he's not very highly owned. Is basically why he's never in those sorts of things. I have to try and include the ones that I think are most relevant. No news on Chelsea lineup. Nope. No, nothing. Semenyo to Gakpo if no good sub. I don't think I'd do that. I'd just chance it, even if you've got a not great sub. Yep. Enzo did post on Instagram last night, which usually means he starts. Yes, it does. Yeah. Would I go on I'm a Celebrity? I don't think I'd be great on it. But, if the opportunity arose itself and they wanted some FPL chat in the jungle, then I would be right there. I'd be right there. I'm not expecting a call up though, don't worry. But you never know. You've got to challenge yourself with things in life. Can I break down Munoz versus Van Dijk? I think Munoz is better. Yeah, but I also think that Richards is close enough or a Lacroix is close enough. I'm not sure the more he goes up, I think he's 5'8" now, Munoz, the more I think it's not worth spending the money on that compared to another Palace. Because you can own Van Dijk and another one. Like, you could own Van Dijk and a Richards. Like, it's not be all and end all that if you own Van Dijk, you can't own a Palace defender. Whereas if you own Munoz, you then can't own Van Dijk. Can I explain what I start Caicedo over Voltemada? I just think he has a higher flooring, and I may be underestimating Voltemada against City, but I just don't think the chance of a return is that high. Yeah, this is the thing. If I went in the jungle, so they've just gone in, right? And I'd have to set my team up. So it would be game week 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And I think they're back by game week 17. So I'd have game week 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So basically, I'd use all my transfers, set it up with a perma captain, and then just hope it was okay when I got home. That's if I got to the final. That's a big assumption. Anyway, Senesi or Timber? Probably Timber. If I had Timber instead of Anderson, would I team look like? I would probably bench Richards if I had Timber. I'd just bench Richards, I think. How much is it between Rice and Saka points-wise over the next few? I think there'll be something in it. It depends how much Saka scores. I do think Saka is better than Rice, but there is also a lot of money between it. Uh, 0.5 in the bank, wildcard, Sanchez or no? Sorry, I don't understand the question. Would I go Sanchez and wildcard over Verbruggen, who was in my draft? If you've got the money, I probably would just stick with Verbruggen with some of the fixtures they've got. Dean and Saliba or Konza and Timber? Konza and Timber. I think. I don't love Konza as a pick, though. I don't love the Villa defenders as picks in general. Saka or Salah captaincy. If I had Salah, I'd put it on Salah. Chelsea, nothing. Chelsea, nothing. Nope. Captain Saka, if you're on a -4, that wouldn't change it. I'd still captain the player that I think would score the most points. But I do understand that if I was taking a -4 for Saka, would I be more inclined to take a punt on the captaincy as well? Maybe slightly, but I still think I'd just captain the player I think was the best pick. But maybe it would be enough to swing the pendulum. Bench 1, Semenyo, Thiago, Enzo or Sarr. Based on the odds, it's probably Enzo out of that lot. Enzo or Sarr? Probably Enzo, because Sarr does have great goal threat. Mbeumo or Cunha? I still would go Mbeumo if you can, but I don't mind Cunha as a cheaper option. Also, probably better slightly long-term, because, of course, Mbeumo goes to AFCON. But I think Mbeumo probably scores more between now and then. Captain Bruno or Saka? I'd probably go Saka, although I do love a Monday night captain. But, yeah, probably Saka. Thoughts on João Pedro? I think he's fine. If you've got him, you definitely keep him and play him against Burnley, but I would not be looking to buy him now. Is Kudos out? No, it looks like Kudos is going to start. Gabriel to Van Dijk and Ndai to Saka for a -4. Yes, I think that's fine if you want to do Ndai to Saka for a hit. I don't think it's definitely worth it this week, but it's probably a transfer you'll be happy that you made. Does not everyone captain who they think will be the best pick? Yes. But also there's sometimes when it's close that, you either go slightly more aggressive to try and chase rank and hope you get lucky, or the opposite. You've gone with Hincapié. Good luck. Good luck. I hope he starts for you. What's the secret behind Enzo? His data is the secret behind Enzo. Let's hope he starts, because I could do with some returns from him before he probably goes over the next few weeks. Would I sell Raya, Tarkowski and Dye for Petrovic, Saka, Estev? If Estev's last on your bench, then I don't mind those moves. -4 worth it to take. I'd go Verbruggen over Petrovic as well. -4 to take out Gabriel or just bench. If you're on free hit 30, if you've lost the value last night, I probably would just wait as long as you've got a good sub. If you don't have a good sub, then yeah, I just play him. Minte versus Enzo or João Pedro. If I had to rank those, probably João Pedro, Enzo, Minter this week, but long term I do like Minter. Why not triple captain Haaland against Leeds? Because I plan on free hitting next week. Reinders or Fulham. Anderson first sub. I'd have Anderson over Reinders. Start Semenyo or Gravenberch. I'd play Semenyo and Gravenberch can sub in. And start Semenyo or Ndai. I'd play Semenyo. Mateta or Haaland. Haaland is above my Mateta for captaincy. Right, we are in to the final minutes before the game week 12 deadline, which means we are going to stop answering all the questions there. Please go and check your teams, check your transfers have been made, check your captain is where you want it to be, check your vice captain, check everything that you need. That is going to be all for game week 12. That is going to be it all. That is going to be a wrap. Haaland captain for me, Saka vice captain, Saka in for Ndai, Virgil van Dijk in for Gabriel. You forgot to put Anderson in over Richards. Richards over Anderson to start. Was always the plan. Always the plan. That will be the deadline, though. Let me just post it. Let me post. Right. Right, that is my team. Let us very quickly do FPL challenge. Good luck to everyone. Yes, thank you all. Good luck to you as well. Let me lower the slow mode and everything. We're going to have to wrap it up pretty quickly because I've got to go and get a train and get across London to get it. Plus 6 points for players who achieve 90% pass completion. At least 30 passes attempted. Right. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Why did it log me out? Who gets great pass completion? Do any goalkeepers get it? Who plays short passes? Who plays short passes? Raya? Raya? Oh, I can select passes instead of total points. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Martinez in goal. Konza has hit it 9 times. Saliba is in. Presumably no forwards hit it, yeah, so we're not playing up. I've got to pick someone up front. Let's go Thiago because I don't own him. 1-3-1. Yeah, let's go Rice. Caicedo. Let's go for a back 2. Saliba and who else is going to hit it? I'm going to punt on... No, I'm going to buy another attacker. I'm not going to be boring. 2... Oh, I can only have... I can't have too many... Let's go Tyler Adams. Elliot Anderson. He doesn't have high enough percentage, though. Let's change Saliba then. Let's go with Lewis Dunk. Right. That is a nice quick team. I'm going to go Lewis Dunk, captain. Watch him score. Watch him score. Right. We are going to wrap it up there. Thank you all very much for joining. Apologies, I can't hang around at the end of this stream. I will be talking about free hits. We'll have a video out probably Sunday evening talking about it. And yeah, this is how we ended up. Couple of transfers made. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. I've got to pack up my stuff because I'm going to see Holly's family and I need to record a video while I'm there. So lots to do. Have a good one, everyone, and I will catch you all very soon. Good luck this week. Bye.